Hello, my name is Father Charles Dominique. I'm a Dominican priest working in the Diocese of Bridgetown in Barbados. And I'm here to share with you my thoughts for this 18th Sunday of Ordinary Time, Cycle C. Vanities of vanities, the preacher says, vanity of vanities, all is vanities. So our minds sometimes would go to think about the excessive pride or perhaps the excessive admirations of one's own appearance and achievements. But in the context of our readings today, we're being called to have a different understanding. The word vanity comes from the Hebrew word meaning breath or vapor. So these words in themselves suggest, on the one hand, the lack of substance. It also denotes how the transitoriness of things, that everything is transitory, everything is temporary. And our readings today challenge us to question ourselves and to look critically and objectively at our lives to see what we are giving prominence to. Might we be focusing more attention on the wrong things or even on ourselves? What do we commit ourselves to? Where's our heart? What is the most important thing to us? And there are important lessons to be learned. And this might come at a time when God is being pushed aside for other temporary and transitory things. These are serious times. Everyone is competing for the same resources. And so, as life is so temporary, it means that we really should be focusing on that which not only gives complete meaning to our present life, but also to the one who comes to us in the future after our physical life has come to an end, after we've died. And one very important lesson to be learned today is that life is futile. We spend so much time trying to amass so many things, amassing so many possessions, so many friends. But let us be quite clear, this is not to say that having wealth is necessarily a bad thing. One should be able to enjoy the fruits of one's own labor, provided that it was done in a fitting manner and that wealth wasn't got by ill-gotten means. That good work and hard work should be rewarded. But the problem that we face is that we can spend all our life accumulating things, forgetting that the very life we have, again, is transitory, it is temporary, it is like vapor. It's here today and it is gone tomorrow. We work hard all our lives with the hope of enjoying our labors, only to end up dying, leaving behind the very things we worked for someone else to enjoy, and sometimes even for people to fight over. That is what happened, the case that was brought to Jesus. And Jesus used a parable to teach us about greed and how greed destroys our lives. Jesus doesn't condemn the man on account of it, on account of his wealth, or even for not attending to the needs of those who were less fortunate than he was. Jesus was condemning his greed because the greed underlined his actions, so that he wanted to store up earthly treasures as opposed to making himself rich in the sight of God. And so because life is transitory, our future is in jeopardy. So we cannot really plan for our future. In many ways we still can plan, but we never know if those plans are going to materialize. If this is the case, then it is indeed vain for us to look for our satisfaction in the future, unless that future is with God. So Paul tells us to set our minds on the things of heaven. And if we set our minds on the things that are above, we will engage in earthly affairs in the proper manner. And this has to do with all aspects of our lives, which is really to conform to the will of God. Even how we treat our earthly goods. How are we caring for the environment and all the things that God has provided for us? So in the same way as as individuals can amass goods and forget about the real treasure, we can also do so as a community where we focus on material development and miss the opportunity to really teach people the importance of going after what is indeed life-giving. We try to convince ourselves that if we are prosperous as a nation, then all shall be well. And we know that's not true. In the end, it still comes down to putting God first, but a lot of people put God second A lot of people don't even have God in their lives because they're focusing on the wrong things. All these other things have become the gods in their lives. So as we work, and we work hard, and we try to enjoy the fruits of our labor, we accumulate what we have. And there's nothing wrong with enjoying what we work for, but we must remember that our future is not certain. Nothing has been written down. Sometimes we want more because of our greed and because we envy other people. That's also not good for us because, again, it takes us away from God, and it even takes us away from people. There's no reason why we must treat life as a game of chance where there are many, many odds. It is not a game where we roll a dice and see what happens. We have to make decisions about our lives. So what is it that is preventing us from living fully the life that God has given to us, that God really wants us to enjoy? And I think the answer to that question is quite simple. We're looking in the wrong place for our fulfillment. We are banking on material things to bring us happiness and make us complete, but we know that they're only for a moment, in the same way that life is only for a moment. Everything physical is like breath, like vapor. It doesn't last. Everything is transitory, temporary. So as we reflect, let us think about the goods of the earth and see how they're not only good in themselves, but they're also essential for our survival and advancement. However, they do not satisfy the deepest longings of our human spirit. They do provide us with pleasure and challenge, but they cannot shield us from the fact that life is transitory. When the fruits of the earth are not used to enhance the life of the earth, they lose their value, they spoil and then decompose. And life is just too precious to leave it to things of chance. So if we are truly people of the risen Christ, then our objective is to share in the ultimate treasure that awaits us, and that treasure is eternal life. We can think of our lives as being lived to the full because of all the things that we have and all the things that we do, and yet, again, those things, they do not last, they fade, and after a while, we have nothing to fall back on, and so we become, in a sense, empty. If we bear in mind that everything is like breath, that everything is transitory, then we will want to focus on that which is life-giving and store up treasure in heaven rather than storing up treasure here on earth.